I knew at the time that saving was what I needed to do. MoneyWise Doctor community has also helped me invest in yourself. It's one of the ultimate investments that you can make. Oftentimes people think, oh, can't I just get someone that I will get paid, or I'll just give my money to invest for me and just give me my returns. I got involved in the pyramid scheme. I used to be very ashamed to say that. I also started investing in the S&P 500 that you mentioned. There's need for information like this. I've learned a lot. I've learned more on ISA, the general money rule.
That are the 10 MoneyWise rules.
Yes.
Once you nail this 10 things, you're going to be all right.
Like, it would be interesting to just share it.
Be an example of someone who's read, follow the podcast, be part of the community, and you're applying it, do the work. What does it look like for a doctor to start their journey to financial freedom? I mean, on MoneyWise Doctor, we'd like to talk about how doctors and healthcare professionals can make smarter financial decisions, avoid costly mistakes, and build their financial future without stress and unnecessary mistakes. Well, for several episodes, it's been mainly me, and every now and then I bring a doctor, a business owner, a financial advisor. But today I want to bring in a real-life MoneyWise Doctor subscriber and a doctor who actually practices what we preach. So I've got a GP who has trained as a family physician GP in the UK and has started her financial journey to find her financial freedom. I want her to share her own experience. So today I've got in the studio, virtual, Dr. Chigo Ono joining me. Welcome, Chigo.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. As usual, everybody's with you is knowledge gained, so I'm happy to be here.
Oh, that's great. That's brilliant. So yeah, you've been following I think you've been following our journey for a while with MoneyWise Doctor. You were one of our earlier subscribers. I don't know exactly when you subscribed, but I remember you from in the initial contact we made. It was January when we had our Ask Me Anything event that was oversubscribed. Obviously, it was meant for 50, and we had 253 subscribers for that event who showed up. And I thought, gosh, I thought I'll get 50 people here. Now I've got 253 people. I haven't made any plans for a moderator. I just thought, well, I can just manage it as before. And I asked for a volunteer, and then there's this lady that said, you know what? I'll do it. And that was you. Yes. So yeah. Why did you volunteer?
I just thought to volunteer. It's a way of, we always talk about networking when you're learning about financial education. So networking is very important.
Yes.
And one way to do it is through making yourself visible. And the way to make myself visible on that day was to volunteer. And I also felt it would be something that I've never done before, and I would learn on the job as well. So that was what I did that day.
That's very impressive. Obviously, you're very smart, and it seems to have worked because suddenly now you're on MoneyWise Doctor podcast. Got like over just 2,000 subscribers watching. Yeah, so well done. But beyond volunteering, apart from that day, obviously you saved the day because you were managing the questions and there were so many questions. I think we wanted to do it for 90 minutes, but we shot up to 2.5 hours because people had so many questions around investing, mortgage, life insurance. I think some people were asking about real estate and in terms of investing, second home and all of that, as well as NHS pension. But you were able to manage it from that area so far. But it didn't stop there. I know we've had a bit of a chat about your financial journey, but you did something that really, really impressed me and caught my attention. You offered to volunteer with MoneyWise Doctor. I didn't actually reach out to anyone for that. At that point, there were three of you indicated out of the blues, which made me like, you know what? Maybe this thing we're doing is actually really helpful. And you offered to volunteer, but you were the one that actually sort of like you sent your CV, you were ready to go. And you for the past 6 months, you've helped manage our community and all that. So what was that all about? Or is it still the same networking thing? Or
it's obviously the networking is there as well, but it's now beyond it. It's about the knowledge. Yeah. So on that day, I like to think of myself as someone that tries to use every opportunity that is available to learn about financial things. Yeah. So on that day, I came in just curious, out of curiosity to see, okay, let's see what we can get out of this. And I ended up volunteering and actually realized that beyond the blog articles that I've been reading from MoneyWise Doctor, that you were actually a walking knowledge of financial stuff.
Okay, that would make me blush. Okay.
So I was like, why stop there? I may as well go beyond just volunteering on the day and see if there's any way I can contribute to the community while also gaining from the community as well.
Wow. Very, very impressive. This actually inspired me to start thinking when I was much younger. I mean, I'm a bit older now, but when I was 18, 19, I used to like to go volunteer for stuff. And part of how I got my first job in an NGO, that was after medical school. I offered to volunteer, and after the volunteer interview, they offered me a job that was paying me like almost triple my current job then. So volunteering is quite powerful, but we get busy and your time, you start calculating your time hourly. Obviously, you're a doctor, you're a GP now, your time is super valuable. And you might think, oh, why should I give out my time, which is very valuable as a volunteer? But obviously, you're thinking long term, you're thinking finances, you're thinking about networking and investing and all that. That leads me to a segue. You've mentioned financial education several times now, maybe like 2 or 3 times. As a doctor, I used to, oh, well, from experience, I realized a lot of doctors didn't really care too much about financial education. It's not something I taught so much in school. So what made you to start going into that direction of financial education? Just sort of walk me through your journey of financial education, what it means to you, what you're doing to learn along those lines.
Okay. So I would say my first ever reading or knowledge of financial education was from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh.
So when I was in secondary school, I was on holiday in my sister's house. So I was just looking for a book to read in my house, and I saw Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I started reading it. And I realized that the poor dad, he had the best intentions.
Yeah.
The poor dad was just resonating with everything that I had seen growing up. It was the advice the poor dad was giving that I was familiar with. So, and the rich dad was like something alien altogether. So it was the poor dad's advice that resonated with me so well and I was familiar with. So that was what started raising my curiosity, an interest in financial education. So, but at the time, I wasn't working. I didn't have much to even put in practice what I had learned. But obviously, anything you learn is always there. So it was, it was always there at the back of my mind. So fast forward through medical school and then doing my housemanship, we had this pyramid scheme back then during my housemanship, which is like FY1 training here in the UK. So I got involved in the pyramid scheme. I used to be very ashamed to say that.
Can I jump in here? Obviously, you mentioned pyramid scheme. When you heard about pyramid scheme, obviously, I'll ask you a bit more. Was it sold as a pyramid scheme, or did they just say it's an investment? Everything is an investment.
Yes, it was sold as an investment, obviously. It was like a plain pyramid scheme. So it was sold as an investment. So it was only after I had gone in, thankfully I didn't lose much. And then I realized that, it's a pyramid scheme. No, it's not the best thing to do going forward. So I learned from it. And it kind of made me remember what I had learned as a younger child. So I had to now start intentionally looking for materials to read. But obviously at the time, I wasn't concentrating more on investing. I was concentrating more on saving to do projects that I had in hand at the time. So, but I always knew, I made the decision that once I'm at the stage where I'm able to start investing, these are the things that I need to do. And thankfully, I did what I said I was going to do. So it wasn't like one of those things you say you would do and you don't. So
Okay, that's impressive. One, it tells me something. It tells me one, you had an early exposure to financial education before you have started earning money, which is always very good, as in my case. Secondly, you tested something that wasn't quite investing, and that was part of your school fees. That was part of your education. The amount of money you lost. And sorry, I don't know if you tell us how much and name. Should we name and shame this program? Maybe depend on you. And it also tells me that you took steps to do what you said you do. Out of curiosity, what's this? I don't think they can see you. What's this pyramid scheme? What was it called? I mean, just in case someone is watching.
okay, the name that at the time was Fast Track, but I soon realized that they had different names for different. But they say it was still the same company, but they had different names.
Fast track. I mean, the name fast track. I mean, I have nothing against being on the fast track because you read that Poor Dad. You must have come across fast track and slow track, and that in but that was. I mean, it's not a good thing, but in a way, that having that experience early, getting involved and then this is not the right way. That is a big investment into your future because imagine now as a GP, obviously you've got a bit more substantial income. If you got involved in something and then you found out it wasn't going all right and you lost money, you would have lost more. You would have lost a substantial amount compared to back then. How long ago was this? How long ago was it? A while ago?
Yes, it's I would say 8 years ago.
8 years ago, okay. Yeah. And you mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've come across a lot of people that book was an eye-opener. For me as well, at about 17, 18, that book suddenly opened my eyes. And like you said, a lot of the role models around us were like, go to school, work hard, become a doctor, get a PhD, or do something, and you'll be rich. And we learned at that age that and saw the world. This is not really how it works. So, at what point in your career were you already in medical school, or what point did you read that book and that shifted your thinking?
It was in secondary school, actually. I was on holiday in secondary school, just looking. Then I used to read more than I do now.
No.
It's more like medical things that you consume. But then I was just eager to read anything and everything. So I saw Rich Dad Poor Dad in my sister's library at home, and that was it.
Well, that's actually a good chancing upon. I think myself reading that book led me down. I've read like 250 or 300 other books since then in terms of business, finance. I love history, finance, economics. Some are for entertainment, some are garbage, some are really good. But read that part that was quite fundamental. And if you read it as far back as secondary school, I think that's good, impressive foundation. But I know people who read it who said, oh yeah, I can't really apply these things, it's not real and all that stuff. But now you know it's different. And you said you used to read quite a bit in the past. Well, I know now that with our book club, which you've been part of and also been playing a good role, I'll say you've started reading again.
Oh yes, of course. So I'm going back to my love. So it's one of the things that this community, MoneyWise Doctor community, has also helped me with.
Yeah.
So going back to what I love doing, apart from just reading medical things.
Yes.
So going back to reading things that I think are important and I enjoy as well.
That's brilliant. I mean, I remember now the first one we read was The Psychology of Money. And they're currently reading one that seems a bit more some people have found a bit challenging to read. Is that Food by Randomness? And we made to talk about it. Obviously, if you're listening and you want to be part of that book club, if you head over to moneywisedoctor.com/subscribe, we might invite you. Basically, we like to keep it small. So our subscribers who are mostly engaged, every now and then we invite them to join the book club. And you can reach out and say, I want to join the book club. Yeah. So back to you, Chigo. But you started from when you started working, you started saving. Obviously, you are way ahead of most doctors at that point because you already knew that going to school, getting a job, working, become a consultant or JP as you are now, saving and all that is not enough. So you learned a few things from Read That Poor Dad. But you started with saving.
Yes.
What gave you the push to move from saving? Because we already know that saving is not enough.
Yeah.
Because of inflation, the money could get eroded, the value keeps dropping. So,
Yeah.
what gave you that final push to go from saving to start investing?
Okay. So it's a mix of the things that I had read and also real life experience as
Okay.
well. So obviously I had started growing my interest and curiosity in financial education. So I was following a lot of people on YouTube,
Okay.
getting information from YouTube, and also reading some books as well.
Okay.
And I knew at the time that saving was what I needed to do because I didn't have enough for investment. There
Yeah.
was a project that I
Yeah.
needed to get done, and I saw it as investing in my future because it's also an investment anyway.
Yeah.
Because you invest in yourself, it's one of the ultimate investments that you can make. So
Absolutely. I believe in that. Yeah.
So I would say it was savings slash investment, but this investment was in myself. So, and also the push also came from real life experience. I
Mm.
came from the family where it's like a proper traditional family, African family where the father is a provider and the mother is the person that takes care of the home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And growing up, my father was a very good provider, so
Yeah.
we were good growing up. And towards the end of my secondary school and early university years, my father fell ill,
Oh.
and of course, that affected the income,
Yeah.
and also ultimately affected our standard of living,
All right.
opposed to what I was aware of or what I grew up knowing.
Yeah.
But I saw that. Uh, I'm Nigerian.
Yeah. Just like me.
Yes, and I'm Igbo, and they
Yeah.
say
Like
most
me.
people are entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So, and my father was. So he made some investments as a business person,
Hmm.
and when he got sick, he sadly passed 8 years ago. But
Oh.
at the time when he was so sick that he couldn't work, I saw the value of investments because of the things that he had invested in.
Hmm.
Even though he couldn't actively work at the time, the things that he invested in and the things that he did when he was actively working were now our backbone.
Wow.
So,
Backup.
yes. So
Wow.
I realized it's not just about working, and say there might come a time we don't pray for that, but
Hmm.
we want to be practical. There might come a time that you'll not be as active as you are now. So what do you have
Hmm.
planned for you? So that's why I also believe in investing, and I started pushing myself to even learn more and see ways to invest as well.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you for taking us on that journey. And yeah, sorry to hear about your dad, but
And
um a lot of insights from there. So he was actively working, he had income, but he was investing for the future. And when he unexpectedly became ill, you could, as a family, fall back on the investment returns. I suppose that's sort of the whole message a lot of times when people are working, nobody thinks anything can go wrong because when you're active, you're 30, you're 40s, or you're even 20s, you think, well, I'm fine. Nobody expects anything. And that goes back to things like life insurance, income protection. Like I remember last year, I lost a dear friend and a colleague who was about the same age. Then he died at 36, a surgeon in London. He's also of Nigerian descent, and he died unexpectedly. And it sort of like took us all back to he had dependents as well, not he wasn't married, but he had like family. It took us back to all this financial security, having financial protection in place, like life insurance, income, investment returns. Yeah, so but that's really quite deep. I know like most people will say something like rich dad poor dad, which is good. But when you see people who are consistent and they follow through and they start investing, usually, or they start a business or they do what they do, a lot of times you go back, you see the why, and you see that that why is tied to their background, who they are, and is yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank
Shake
you.
hands. Okay, yeah. All right. So I'm going to go into something a bit more technical now. Don't worry, I'm not going into stock analysis or anything like that. So yeah, you once shared that before you started investing, you were
Mm,
obviously aware of what you knew. You knew you needed to. You saved money, you invested in yourself.
mm,
And a lot of people talk about investing. They talk about S&P 500. They want to buy index fund, but it
yeah.
seems like you were doing S&Me 500. I've heard someone say that S&Me 500. You were investing in yourself first, building your education.
Yeah.
And you once shared with me. You even at some point you attended like you did a course or program where you spent quite a bit of money. I think it was that $1,000 or so you spent.
Yes,
Yeah.
close to that amount. Yeah.
And you were a junior doctor at that point.
Yes, I was.
How long had you been working in the UK at that point?
I was just working for a few months in the UK. But
Yeah,
it was
that's
one of the things I said I was going to do even
you.
before I moved to the UK. So my mind
You
was
your
already
mind
made
was on it.
before I became a junior doctor in the UK.
I mean, you obviously you went for this training to get more financial education and all that, and um, obviously when you move to the UK, you start working, your bills go up, you have all these expenses, but
Yeah.
you already committed to that pathway.
Yeah.
You felt. Looking back now, do you think that was a good use of money?
Oh yes, definitely. Because sometimes we have so many things that we are exposed to by virtue of social media. So
Yeah.
you also have the endless information online.
Mm.
Sometimes you just need someone to help consolidate those information that you have. And I think that's what I gained. So
Wow.
it helped consolidate that information that I already had and kind of streamline my financial knowledge and needs at the time then. So, and I think I also learned like the basic
The fundamentals.
fundamentals. Yes, you
Yeah.
can always build on them, but
Yeah.
it helped. I
Wow.
no regrets whatsoever.
That's impressive. I mean, you're a member of our premium community now, which is also a paid community. And I find that most people who join the premium community, they've been following our blogs. They get all the information. We've got like over 60 blog posts now. We've got 200 videos, which is less than 1 year. We've got like 200 videos when you count the shots. And I'm like, all the information is out there. I still send a weekly newsletter. Why would anyone pay to have join the premium community, have the blog post? But I always realize that a lot of time is that streamlining you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't. Yeah, because I still interview people. Why did you book this? Why did you join premium community? And most people, usually consultants, GPs, and quite a few junior doctors and other healthcare professionals, you always find out that there's new information. Sometimes you might find an area of deficiency. Maybe they are thinking about asset allocation, or they're trying to be more tax efficient or whatever. But
Mm,
you always find out that most of the information, they are not coming for that knowledge, just the knowledge. They're
mm,
coming for some sort of like call it coaching. I don't like to I'm not a coach per se, but maybe they're coming for someone to say, okay, this is what I think, this is what I think, what do you think?
mm,
Or maybe somebody has read about options and all that. I'm thinking, no, you don't need to think about options at this point in your investing journey, because you don't even have an emergency fund that can last you 6 months. So
yeah.
why are you talking about options when you don't really know the basics? Like, you're trying to start martial arts and you want to start fighting with black belt. Yeah, so that's insightful, because sometimes I think about it from the point of knowledge. And when you think about knowledge, you have the tendency, especially me, to try to give more information, more information. But sometimes people are not after more information. They
Mm,
need more why say streamlining stuff.
yeah.
Like, what is good for me now? What can I do now? Right, okay, that's a good one. That's impressive. Now I'm going to ask you, since you said it was valuable,
Mm.
what action did you take after you took those investment when you took that investment lesson? What did you start doing in terms of investing wise?
So I built my emergency fund,
Okay.
uh, and I also started investing in the S&P 500 that you mentioned.
Okay.
I did further research and I realized that as a beginner in investments in stocks, that was likely the best option for me. And being a doctor, we might not always have the time to
Yeah.
do the full analysis and follow the markets as much as you might need to. So S&P 500 seemed like the good option at the time. So I started investing and I automated my investments like every month is what goes there. And so also building my knowledge more on investments and finances generally as well.
Yeah.
And obviously that's why I came across MoneyWise Doctor. You know, the algorithm, once you're always looking at something, you keep getting what you're looking at.
Thank you, algorithm. Yeah, I always think the algorithm doesn't do any favors to me, and I feel like, okay, the best thing I can do is to write good stuff, write helpful stuff. Then people will be compelled to share it, because obviously, if you write something useful, like one of our videos on how to claim back your taxes, or the one on ISA, it gets shared so many times that it gets those many views. Yeah, but you've said some really useful nuggets that I want to pull out for the audience. So if you're listening, one, you said you built your emergency fund before you started investing. Two, you obviously had ongoing financial education, which is how you came across MoneyWise Doctor. And then three, you said you decided to invest passively into a broad index fund. You choose S&P 500. We're not saying anyone should choose S&P 500 or not, but for some reason, I think it follows the market quite well. And four, which is really fantastic as well, for peace of mind, you automated it so you're not having to check, like, come back, your blood pressure is not going up and down, and your pulse is good. You set it automatically. I want us to break these things down, because why I'm smiling is because these are part of what we've been teaching, and I'm very proud to see that you're doing all of that. So let's go back to obviously emergency fund. What do you mean? What is that? What do you mean by emergency fund?
So it's what if anything were to happen, you have up to 3 to 6 months of your expenses that one usually makes per month. You have 3 to 6 months at least saved up in the event of an emergency where you're not working for some reason. So it gives you like the fallback that it removes the unnecessary stress also and worries. So because you know that there's something there while you're trying to rearrange and prepare for the next move for yourself.
Wow.
So, some people say the emergency fund can be likened to an FU fund. We're not supposed to.
Well, it's a podcast, so let's just keep it clean, because we've got doctors and healthcare professionals. We're very professional, but it's an FU fund basically. Yeah, it's a fund that, well, if you call me for a job I don't like, I can just say, I'm fine, I'm good. I can decide to walk away from a job, and you finish your GP training. You're not in a hurry. You're starting a job, obviously, but you've got a bit of room yourself, because you have a fallback. If you were financially wound up so tight, like a rope that could snap, you would need to pick up hospital shift, do this, do that. You really need to start work the next day. But you had an emergency fund. I love that. I love that concept. So that means for you to have an emergency fund, basically, you need to know what your budget is.
Exactly. Yes.
Because I've met people who don't really know what their outgoings is for a month, and they're like, it's just some laziness there. People are afraid to look in the mirror, because you think so.
It is, and that might be it. And another thing is, it's just not what we are used to, especially from the side of the country where we grew up. I don't think we are actually used to that. Before I started reading, I had never thought of anything like emergency funds. I didn't even know what that was. So it's more, we used to live like tomorrow will take care of itself. So basically, so, but just like you said, for getting your emergency fund you need to sit down,
Yes.
analyze your spendings,
Yes.
analyze your outgoings and incoming, so that you can actually get what you need per month, and then
Yeah.
work towards saving for 3 to 6 months at least.
Yeah.
As an emergency fund.
That's a simple way to put it. I think I like that way to demonstrate it. So you need to know what your outgoings are. But I'll tell you this, and I'm sure it will be shocking to you. You say the part of the country you come from or where you've come from. But I'll tell you, with doctors now, MoneyWise doctor now interact with several thousands of doctors every week, and we now know that beyond it cuts across doctors from everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like male, female, like it cuts across doctors from everywhere. Most doctors, even when they know these things, I don't know if it's our training or I don't know if it's because we are too busy, but you made a lot of doctors who don't actually know what their outgoings is. They don't know what their taxes are. They just get their pay slip. They don't know if they're overtaxed, undertaxed. They don't know ISA and all that, and they have money they're saved, and then they are paying more tax on it because it's not saved in the proper vehicles. So yeah, don't worry, you're not left alone in that. We see that's very common. All right, so that's emergency fund for emergencies in case things come up.
Yes.
Then number two, you talked about ongoing financial education, and you mentioned that coming across MoneyWise Doctor, the algorithm showed it to you.
Yes.
Can you tell me one or two specific things you learned from the articles or blog posts or YouTube or whatever stuff you've learned from MoneyWise Doctor, as us promoting ourselves a bit now?
So I learned quite a lot from MoneyWise Doctor, and recently I posted one of the blog articles that I read on the IMG group.
I saw that. That was the article about number 10, MoneyWise number rules.
Yes.
We'll go into that. Yeah, but carry on.
Yes. So so that particular article, it was about the 10 things that as doctors you should know about and the mistakes to avoid. So, and when you get talking to people as well, you realize that those things that you're seeing in the blog article, they're actually making sense.
Hopefully.
Yes, because what you can tend to forget is because you're reading about these things and you're learning them, you think that everyone is aware, but everyone is now. It's just a handful of people that are aware. So the blog post, when you read articles on it and then you interact with people and realize, okay, there is need for information like this, and that's why the information is there and it's important to disseminate to people so that they are aware. So I've learned a lot. I've learned more on ISA.
Okay.
And I've learned more on just the general money rule.
Yeah. That the 10 MoneyWise rules.
Yes.
Okay, let's use that as an example, because I saw when you shared it and I smiled. I think you shared in the community. Then I was traveling. I was in Heathrow actually when I read that. Yes, there's this article I put up called the 10 MoneyWise rules. It was actually my first video as well, maybe one of my earliest articles. 10 MoneyWise rules every doctor, healthcare professional needs to know. So it was more like my attitude to ignore the noise. There's a lot of information out there, but you just need to know these 10 things. Once you nail these 10 things, you're going to be all right. You don't have to know everything happening in the world in the stock market. And you picked out number 10, but you give a background to why you shared it. Yeah. Somebody inherited some money or something.
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable sharing without giving any names or details? Yeah. I know he's a colleague, so you don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously before then I had read the article, but I got talking with a colleague who told me about a relative that sadly passed away and had some inheritance that she had left for the children. The children, of course, now had the taxman coming for the inheritance tax. It was that discussion made me go back to that article again. And then when I read about it, I saw that the number 10 actually talked about that discussion that we had. And I was like, it would be interesting to just share it for people to also be aware of. We hear it again and again, but I think sometimes when you use real life examples, it
Yeah.
sinks in more. So
Absolutely. Having real life examples.
yeah,
Like you're an example now, sort of like if I come and talk about MoneyWise Doctor stuff, but you're an example of someone who's read and you've sort of followed the podcast, you've been part of the community and you're applying it. I think you mentioned in that case they were left with about £450,000 tax
yes,
bill.
yes,
That's almost $500,000 tax bill, just basically because of the structure.
yeah,
Basically, if you structure your, we'll call it legacy planning. So if you have your property in the right structure, you have your life insurance in a trust, you do some really good tax planning, do some really good, for your family, because a lot of time we're working hard, we're making money, we're acquiring assets, but we're not doing basic tax planning.
yeah,
That was what that article was. Even wills and all that stuff, having the right ones in place, life insurance, income protection, all falls into that whole area. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that bit. And you mentioned ISA. What sort of ISAs? What did you learn about ISAs? Just give us the top three lessons you learned about ISAs and how you're using them.
Okay, so I learned about the cash ISA. Obviously, it might be the best opportunity, the best option for an emergency fund because it's something that is easily accessible without much penalties when you need it, and the different stock and shares ISAs that are there as well, and the lifetime ISA. Sometimes people think, I'm not really looking to buy a house now. Should I start the lifetime ISA? I'm not sure yet. But then I picked on, even if you're not yet sure, just open, even if it's with one pound.
One pound, good.
So
Yeah.
you already had that, and it has started counting for you as well, because you already have that account, and you don't want to wait until you turn 40 when you're not able to open an account as well, because you've already opened it while you're trying to make up your mind as well.
Can I ask you to just repeat that again? It's really quite key. What age can you no longer access an ISA?
40.
40 years, yeah. So we had an article that says lifetime ISA does not start at 40. So life does not start at 40. So if you haven't, this is not a joke. I've had a lot of people like on the night of their like 39th going to 40, get on the phone or start emailing frantically, say, oh yeah, I know it's my last, maybe I've got 3 more days for my 40th birthday. Can I still open? These are doctors. And it also happens on April 4, 5, from April 1, actually. We get a lot of queries and inquiries from people who are asking, oh, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, because there are some tax allowances that if you don't use it in that tax year, you lose them. One is ISA. So if you haven't contributed, someone like me as an investor, before I put a dime in any other account, I want to use up my £20,000 in ISA, my stock and shares ISA. Why? Because it's tax free. No matter how much capital gains I get, dividend is all tax protected in that ISA. The same thing, lifetime ISA. Some people, they want to buy a house next year, but if you miss that year, you can't put in that maximum amount for that year. So you need to be able to put in that 4,000 or whatever amount you can put in, even if it's £1. Open it in that tax year, or you're going to miss that opportunity. The same thing, if you're about to approach 40, you can't get the lifetime ISA anymore. But if you're above 40, no more lifetime ISA, but you can get other types of ISA. But if you're above 40, but you already have a lifetime ISA, you can still keep contributing to it, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Well, that's very useful. Yeah, it's been quite interesting getting your own side and because like every week we send this email, it gets opened by thousands of doctors. Sometimes you get a reply, sometimes you don't get a reply. Then we push out the videos as well, and you get some interaction. Some people watch it. There are some people subscribe, and some people watch it and they don't subscribe. So if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, this is a good time to tap that subscribe button.
You should do that.
You think anyone watching should subscribe? Anyone that's gotten to this point, okay, you have to do that, because Dr. Chigo says you should do that. And when a doctor says you should do something, it's a doctor's prescription.
Exactly.
Yeah. So moving forward now, I mean, with what you're learning so far in the community, and I know you were one of the first few people to register interest for our upcoming investment workshop. Yeah, so just to put it out there, we have an investment workshop. We didn't put it publicly; it's all been emailed to people in our subscriber list and community, and it's going to be, I would say, a couple of weekends, then followed by 4 weekends or 4 weeks of follow up, and then a membership in the community to support you. And Chigo has signed up for that investment workshop. You're already investing. You already know what investing is all about. So, what are you hoping to gain? Why are you paying to join an investment workshop?
Oh, I'm a believer of no knowledge is a waste. And
Hmm.
if you know ND, you know that no meeting with him will go without you learning something that is very vital. So, when I heard about it, he told me about it. I was like, it's a no-brainer. I have to get involved. So there's always something to learn. There's always something to build on, and I know Andy, and I know that that workshop will be nothing short of excellent. So
Oh, that's quite a strong recommendation. And what impressed me is how quickly you made the decision. Like, yeah, of course, yeah, no brainer. Yeah, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. You know, it does happen sometimes when you create content.
mm,
You sometimes there's some content I think, does anyone really need this? Does everyone not already know this? But that feedback, and that's something you get from the community, that feedback of, oh wow, I didn't realize that. Oh, when people write to you, like we have our wall of love where we got so many, testimonials.
yeah,
And when you're thinking, oh really, I don't want to stay up by 1 a.m. because I want to write this article on newsletter and push it out. But then you see that wall of love, you realize actually some people really value this stuff.
mm,
And you mentioned something about content. You think everyone knows about it.
exactly.
I experienced the same thing, and I met a JP who was really stressed out. This is a brilliant JP. He's very well. I mean, he's got plenty of publications, has a PhD, and all that stuff. So this is a really intelligent guy. But he was in so much financial stress. He was earning quite a bit of money. He was earning above 100K, but he didn't know about the 60% tax trap.
Mm.
And suddenly he got his brown envelope from HMRC,
Oh,
and he hadn't done all this sort of like how many 5 steps or whatever that we wrote about in our blog. You know that blog is now trending as number one on
oh
Google.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're very proud of that. So we had this consultation which he booked in 101 as a member of the community, and I realized that he had not even claimed his professional expenses for the last 4 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wow, I made a video about this. I wrote a guide about this. There's a free downloadable guide. I've written articles about this. And it just dawned on me that when you think, oh, I'm getting bored of saying the same thing again and again, there's always like the 100 person who's hearing it for the first time.
Yeah.
And we're able to claim about for himself because I didn't have to do it step by step. He did it and then came back and told me. I think I was able to claim about £9,600 in terms of tax relief.
Mm.
Yeah, so this
Wow.
he claimed like 4 years back, tax relief. Obviously, HMRC doesn't send you a check for 9.6. They'll deduct the
Yeah,
percentage based on your tax.
yeah.
It also helped to pull him a little bit out of that 60% tax trap.
Mm.
So yeah, thank you for that. That's very encouraging. Maybe I'm going to clip out that bit and put it on the YouTube channel and put it on my LinkedIn profile. Like Dr. Chigo says, that no time spent with me is a waste, and if you attend the seminar, she knows it's going to be excellent. So if you're listening and you're wondering, oh, what's this all about? If you head over to the links in the description or send me a mail, support@moneywisedoctor.com, our people will pick it up. I'll check the links to get a quiz just to check if you're eligible because we're not able to obviously accommodate everyone. We want to make it something useful. I see a lot of seminars and content that people can't really apply. You need to be able to understand it enough and be confident to then make investment decisions. Right. Thank you for that. So moving forward, I know there's a workshop coming up, and obviously you've registered and all that. But your goals, in terms of your goals, are you like this? There's some people set financial goals. This is
Mm.
what I want to do. This is where I want to retire. They sort of have that outlook. Do you have the sort of goals, or do you want to just work, get your NHS pension, retire at 68? Do you have any such goals? I suspect you do.
So the goal is early retirement,
Okay.
and also the goal is to be able to, while I'm active now in my active years, to be able to work as hard as I can to and invest wisely to gain financial freedom. So, because financial freedom would enable you to make choices, not because you have to, but because you want to. So,
Yeah.
that's definitely the goal for me. So, it's by learning new things, by building on what I already know, and actually putting into practice those things that I'm learning, that I'll be able to reach that goal.
Wow. Wow. Okay. That's in a nutshell. That's better than I would have said it. So early retirement, and you want to work hard. That there's no illusion, right? You're 17-year-olds, TikTokers, and I'm happy for them who say they made so much money from their mom's basement and they retired at 18. And now they're still 17, but they've retired at 18. But there's no illusion. You know that, okay, you're going to work hard now. You're young, you're strong, you're healthy, you're going to work hard, but you have a goal. You want to work hard and convert your active income. I'm fortunate now to be in that position where, okay, I haven't got a salary job or I haven't done one for 2 years and I've got some passive income. And it's really nice, but there's no way, like, you don't just stumble into it. You have a plan, you're working towards it. You're working now, you're about to start your work as a GP. Congrats.
Thank
Yeah. But you're still on break. So
you.
you work hard, you invest wisely, not in random pyramid schemes, but in well thought out investments that you have studied, and then hopefully that investment starts to pay you back to the point where you can have some passive income as well.
Yeah.
That seems like a good plan to me.
Oh, this is a good plan. Who am I?
Yeah, okay. Well, before we go, I think we've been going on. I don't know how long we've gone, but yeah, I enjoyed the discussion because he had some fresh insights, and not just because he said that MoneyWise Doctor is a good place to learn stuff. Yeah, but um, before anyone listening to this decides to start investing, just like you did, there were some things you did before you started investing.
Yeah.
There are some things you would suggest. Let me just say, someone is listening. Maybe they're a GP just like you, or they're a junior doctor, or they might not even be a doctor. Because I found out there are a lot of non-doctors as well who follow our channel, and they said, "Okay, I want to start investing." Your story has inspired me, given from going your background and so far. But there are some things. What would you suggest they do first before they start investing?
Okay. So I would say this a financial area of one's life is an area that is largely overlooked by many people. We think we can wing it, but just like every important things in life, you have to be very, very intentional about it. So you have to put in the work that is needed. Oftentimes people think, oh, can't I just get someone that I will get paid, or I'll just give my money to invest for me and just give me my returns. But we've heard so many stories of people that did that and they came crying.
Yeah.
So put in the work, do research, learn about finance, and it might also be necessary to, just like I did, it's not like advice I'm giving out there, but just like I did, to get an expert, to have like a one-on-one, even find out what your needs are and how to plan yourself. Just streamline those things that you've now read.
Yeah.
Don't get a structure for yourself that you can always build on. I think that's the advice that I would give.
That sounds like pretty good advice.
I enjoy MoneyWise Doctor community.
I mean, if you can take a few more people, yeah, maybe you might be able to admit more people. But thank you, that's great advice. But now I couldn't miss it when you said do the work. you once gave an analogy, or you had to decide to start going to the gym a bit more often and do the work. So you couldn't just pay somebody to just do the work for you. Last messaging you want to pass on to the audience before you go?
Okay. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, I'm very private on social media.
Good for you.
So my last words is: if you're a doctor or healthcare professional watching, it would do you good to subscribe to MoneyWise Doctor community. It releases weekly newsletters. It would be very useful, and not just subscribing. Read the articles when they get published. Watch the YouTube videos. Like, comment, subscribe. I promise you won't regret it.
Aww. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And thank you for all you've been doing. Obviously people like you in the community are keep us going because of your contributions and your even questions, comments. If nobody asks questions about anything, nobody's going to give any answers about anything. So I really appreciate all you do, and I hope you enjoy your career as a JP. Obviously in the audience so far, if you've enjoyed the discussion as much, if you want Chigo to come back, she's already said that she's quite private. So for her to come on video and say all these good things, want her to come back, you need to put in something in the comment, tell her, affirm her, tell her, yeah, I enjoyed the discussion, or ask any questions you've got in the comments, and we'll pick it up from there. But other than that, thank you so much for spending time with us on MoneyWise Doctor, and I hope you have fun with your investing. Obviously, we'll see you in the investment workshop, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.